Hi. I feel like I don't know what's going on right here. I'm going to wait for people to say hi. If you're here, say hi so I know when to start talking. Ah, my lips are dry. Hi. The light is so bright. It's getting darker. I feel like when I started these streams, or not when I started streaming here, which was I think around March, it was much lighter, and now it's getting darker sooner. Can I try you out? No, but you can try me out virtually. Okay, so a couple of you are in here. The rest of you will join. All right, I literally stacked this on like 2 pillows. So it's like really unstable. But couple of announcements I guess I'll make right now. One is Monday Fun Day. So we're gonna be on here for an hour and a half. Talking about things. Perfect. Hazard Stint is in here. As soon as I see one of my Discord babies, I'm like, okay, I'm good to go. And I love when new people come. Favorite thing ever, but just seeing my Discord peeps. I'm actually going to have the perfect swimmer's body. I do not have the perfect swimmer's body. You think these things are gonna help me? You think Michael Phelps is not gonna have a little bit of an advantage? Like I gotta I don't even know what the perfect I heard, and the only reason I know this is because this has been used in like the trans women in sports debate is like Michael Phelps's body. I think if you have either a short torso or a long torso, something, it like helps you with swimming. So there are certain body types that help you with swimming. Mine, I'm going to go out on a limb and say my body type is not the body type for swimming. Can you guys imagine me in like a hair cap? Like but yeah, if you guys want to see more of this stuff, that's going to be at 8 p.m. Pacific, which is in about an hour and a half on my OnlyFans. So you can go to jasminejafar.me. We're going to throw it up on the screen right now. D-Hizzle. Yeah, so you can go there and check out my OnlyFans. And also, if you're not subscribed to my YouTube channel, go subscribe to my YouTube channel because I'm officially going on a one episode a week. No worries. One episode a week, not episode, one video a week on YouTube. So I filmed one today. I'm not going to upload it now because that does like slow down my internet, we found, but I'm going to be doing one a week. So if you're not subscribed, make sure you subscribe for all of that. My next video is going to be a reaction finally to some of my whatever highlights and my fresh and fit highlights, which my moderator / spider flu / Eli, if that could be something on your to-do list for the next, I know you're visiting friends, so you can do it later on, but or any of my Discord people. If you guys have seen and you guys want me to react to certain highlights, that will be my next YouTube video. And yeah, anyways, also, I know we talked about this in Discord today, but maybe doing like, I would love to have some of you guys on stream with me. I know last week we had, if you guys haven't caught last week, I think it's still up because it stays up for 2 weeks on Twitch. Me, I don't want to say debating, but me having a discussion with a disgruntled fan who I had to actually block because he nonstop messaged me after that and was just as weird as you would expect, if not more. He's probably in here now, but we'll still give him props because usually the trolls don't like to show their faces. Oh, I've been waiting for that video. I know, but I'm finally like getting my shit together and coming up with the schedule. And so I have that one done today. I'm going to upload it. I think it'll take the editors a few days and then hopefully we will have it like I'm hopefully eventually trying to get it on a schedule where it's like I upload it every like Thursday by 5 p.m. So you like, you'll have a routine with YouTube. I wish I could do more than one a day, but I mean, one a week. but I don't think I can with my schedule now. Maybe we'll start turning these episodes into, we're working on it. This is bothering me how it's slanted, but okay. What's her Discord? Okay, so the Discord, just so everyone knows, this doesn't have any sexual shit on it. The sexual shit is all on OnlyFans, and we're going to be doing that at 8 p.m. But today I'm actually really excited. I want to talk about content moderation. And this was inspired by a recent study that came out that was based on a survey of Reddit users, or I guess not safe for work content posters. Doesn't have to be OnlyFans girls or sex workers. I don't know. I know Starboom is in here, which I'm glad you are. I don't know if you post on Reddit. I'm not sure. I need to check out your socials more and see exactly what you do. But anyone who, I know a lot of you found me on Reddit. Reddit is still my biggest platform, and it is kind of where I took off. And if it wasn't for Reddit, I probably wouldn't be where I am today. I would be a measly lawyer, and that's no fun. So I owe a large part of my success to Reddit. So this is really interesting for me. And also because I actually took part in this survey. So there is a wonderful Twitter account. Ashley Hazard follows her too. So if you could drop her name, her Twitter name, or actually, I'm going to send it to my moderator now so he can pin it. This is just really important because Ashley always has like the best info. But basically how this happened was I lost my Reddit account randomly, and I had seen Ashley talk about it. And so I messaged her, and she was so sweet. And then I got the account back right away, which we're going to talk about some of those issues that keep popping up with Reddit. And at that time, this was like a year ago, she was like, oh, we're doing the survey. So I actually participated in the survey, and I've been anxious for this to come out for a while. So I'm glad that it did. One does not simply join the Discord. Yeah, I'm starting to like, I feel like I'm just kind of winging when someone asks me like, oh, can I join? Like sometimes I'm like, what's your Twitch username? Like, especially on OnlyFans, because I want to make sure, like, I feel like you have to at least have visited, like, been on like 3 or 4 streams. And then, I wish there was a way we could, we just don't want it to be bogged down with not like, it's like a really supportive space. A lot of people open up on there. And I want to keep it small enough that people don't feel like they're, sharing too much with a bunch of strangers. But at the same time, I want to have a place for the right people to join. So it's an interesting balance. Intelligence is irrelevant for women. That's a fact. Okay, well, I don't know why you're here, because all I'm going to do is talk, unless you just want to stare right here. And if you just want to stare right here, you might as well pay $6.99 and see the whole thing in an hour and a half. Yeah, so that's the Twitter. My moderator put it under I typed it. He typed it for me, but great Twitter page to follow. And so I kind of want to go through it and then also talk about some updates in the courts when it comes to Sesta Fosta, which we've talked about many times, and it's going to be brought up today. And then also an update to COSA, the Kids Online Safety Act or whatever, which is a fucking shit show. But there have been some changes and amendments made, which are like, some of them are incrementally better. And then with Sesta Fosta, the laws are still on the books. It wasn't deemed unconstitutional, but the scope of it was narrowed in a way that can be helpful. Not in all the ways that I would like, but we will talk about that. So this is also, you can find this on the Free Speech Coalition's page, Electronic Freedom Foundation, Ashley's Twitter has it pinned. That's where I just pulled it up from. If you're in the Discord, Hazard shared it Hazard actually caught it before even I did, and shared it to the Discord. So it is the experiences of moderation on Reddit. So, I saw Star Womb. I didn't wanted to read if I used to post on Reddit, but regretfully deleted my page. It was just trying to pursue a corporate job that ended up being BS. Well, I want to tell you to start up again, but sometimes this is like the biggest thing that annoys me is I have so many girls who have found me, a lot of them through the Soft White Underbelly video, which you haven't watched, you should. And they're like, I want advice on how to start an OnlyFans. And I'm like, I will tell you everything I know, but I don't know if you can get to where I got on Reddit with the way Reddit is now, which is really annoying. So it's like, I want to tell people, yeah, use Reddit and do this and do that. But I don't even think that the things I do would work for a new poster, which is annoying, but I don't know. So the introduction to this actually mentions Sesta Fosta, which we've talked about before. But for those that don't know, it is the Stop Enabling Sex Traffickers Act and the Allow States and Victims to Fight Online Sex Trafficking Act. Sounds great, right? Oh my God, who doesn't want to stop sex trafficking? Are you saying that you support trafficking and rape? Like, that's literally what people come at us with. No, of course we don't. But that isn't what the act has done. And now there's finally starting to be a little bit of spotlight on that. And there has been some congressional second guessing, which is long overdue because it's been, I think it was passed in 2018 by Trump. And now it's been 5 years. And pretty much everything that sex workers, and let's all remember, at the time I was not a sex worker. I was 2018. I was a new law student, right? Graduated. Yeah. So I didn't know. I heard about it. And I have to admit, I'm one of those people who was like, oh, that sounds like good, like stopping sex trafficking. Okay, good. Right. Because the way that it's marketed to the public is, oh, this is just trying to stop trafficking. And they have all the people like celebrities, which I always was like, I don't care what they have to say about it, but you only really see one side. And it wasn't something that got widespread media attention. But as soon as it was passed, I did see some coverage on how it would potentially harm sex workers and not achieve the goal of stopping trafficking, which is precisely what happened. And part of the consequence of that was the chilling effect on internet speech and the censorship that we are still all facing to this day as a sex worker. I love FOSTA SESTA discussions. Yeah, me too, even though they piss me off because I cannot believe that. I mean, it's one thing to pass something despite the advice of even the Department of Justice, a lot of sex trafficking victims, like the people that were pushing for this, the Morality in Media or the Center for whatever exploited children, which is basically if you look at their platform, they are literally just anti-porn. They think it's like a sin, like to me, and they did a big rebrand because obviously that's not popular. So they found that if they start to do it under the guise of protecting the children and stopping trafficking, they're not going to get pushback because nobody in their right mind is like, everyone looks crazy. Politicians look crazy. Anyone's going to look crazy for being like, I do not support the Stop Sex Trafficking Act, right? So that's why I think bills like this get so much bipartisan support. COSA has a lot of bipartisan support right now. And I'm not letting politicians off the hook because if you're voting for something, you should 100% know what you're doing. But the general population doesn't know necessarily. And so I'm going to do a YouTube video on it and try to do what I can to actually talk about the consequences of legislation like this. And so part of the consequence of Sesta Fosta, as we know, was the shutting down of Backpage, Craigslist, places where not only were these platforms cooperating with police on, trying to actually stop the bad people, but it was these were spaces where sex workers would come to vet clients and find clients in a safe way and connect with other sex workers. It impeded sex workers' ability to organize and connect with each other. It just had a ton of terrible effects and, surprise, surprise, did not do anything to actually curb sex trafficking. In fact, from what we do know, it made it worse, although we haven't even been able to do the research that we want to do. But what we have done shows, I think it was Elizabeth Warren who actually was like, we should look into this. And then it just never happened. But I think, so many big credible organizations were against. Yeah. I mean, Human Rights Watch was one of the plaintiffs because it's been working its way through the courts. It finally is done. And we're going to talk about what that has brought about. But we like the Electronic Freedom Foundation. There was a lot. Yeah, a lot. Like the people that were for it was like a celebrity. Like it was just insane. Trump is our only hope, the chosen savior. Sure, absolutely. Do you play? No, I don't play anything. I want to try. I'm going to try one day. So yeah. In the introduction, they list several ways that Reddit has tightened regulations around not safe for work content. So in 2019, Reddit made changes to prohibit not safe for work ads and disallowed ads or targeting on not safe for work subreddits. So I started in 2021, so I didn't see that. And they also in 2021 removed not safe for work from the all, I guess, feed, which I'm assuming is like a For You page of Reddit. So we are not shown there. You also now you have the safe toggle, so you have to go in manually. Sometimes I want to see how my posts show up, or if somebody is using my pictures and they block me so I can't report it, I'll go on another profile and report it. And sometimes I can't even, because, and then I'm like, what the fuck? And it's because I have to go into my settings, into my phone set. Like, it's like a 3-step process to like be like, yeah, I'm cool with seeing this shit on my feed. So I can tell you personally, and from the experience of other girls on Reddit, we have the OnlyFans advice forum, we have the creators advice forum, I have friends, and we've all noticed a substantial drop in Reddit engagement, especially this summer. And I am a pretty big Reddit creator. You know, I'm like at 4 million karma, over 1 million followers. And I even like for a while, I wasn't noticing what everyone else was noticing because I was still able to get on those hot pages and stuff. But I will say now it's like after the 2023 changes, it's hitting everyone. It's hitting me too. And if it's hitting me, then I know it's hitting people that are far less successful than me. And that's really unfortunate. We also know that in 2023, this year, that Reddit has now taken us off the API and third-party apps. So third-party apps can no longer see our shit. And I was curious as to what kind of effect that would have on us, but I only have to, I mean, I can't say for sure, but it seems to have been significant because I remember it's like July 1st or something where it came into effect, and I did notice a significant drop after that. Imgur, as we know, has decided to ban not safe for work content. My Imgur account was actually just deleted 2 days ago. I had to make a new one. It's like a whole thing. Yeah, celebrities who have zero stake in the matter trying to stamp their name on something they know nothing about to make them look better to the public. Yeah, I hate celebrity Hollywood culture for that reason. Just don't say anything. If you're going to say something, though, just be knowledgeable about it, right? And I also hate how, as a society, we care what celebrities have to, like, you're great at acting. You don't know shit about foreign policy. Like, why do I care what you think about foreign policy? You know what I mean? But people do. And so that's just, I'll never get it. Because even when I was a kid, I remember I was like, this was in 2008. I was, I don't even know. I wasn't even 18 yet. And I remember like, it was like I think it was Obama, whatever election, what that was. I remember like seeing all these celebrities, and I remember literally turning to my mom being like, why do we care what celebrities say about this? Let's see. Hey, Hazard shared the link. I co-wrote the report with Ashley. Yay! Oh my gosh. Yeah, Ashley's great. I like stalk her Twitter all the time because it's like a good news feed for me. But yeah, I took the survey, I remember at the time. And I remember I reached out to Ashley because I experienced like 2 times now my Reddit account. I just got a message from Reddit, like, your Reddit account is permanently suspended because you broke the rules. That's it. That, like, you just get that message. You just wake up and get that message. And this was before I had Eli, who's my like assistant / moderator in the thing now. And I texted my assistant at the time, and it's so hard when you're doing this because you don't have anyone to turn to. Like, you're literally dependent. You don't have like an HR. You don't have anybody. Like, you are beholden to the customer, or no, I guess, what is it called? Support, user support services for these sites. And I will say Reddit is better than other ones. Because like Instagram took down my account, like this is just the end of it. And then Reddit, like, and you guys, my entire livelihood, even to this day, like I think like 60 to 70% of my subscribers still come from Reddit. And at the time it was like 100. And so it's like you wake up and in the blink of an eye, it says your Reddit account is deleted because you broke. It literally said your Reddit account is permanently suspended because you broke the rules. And that's it. That's the period. And then your account's gone. And so it's like your whole world comes crashing down because it's like your job, it's your livelihood. Like I can't even explain to you the anxiety, and you have no resources or anyone to really turn to there's a fly on here. Anyone to turn to like help. And I did a video with the YouTube video I did today, is talking about 5 ways that being a lawyer or being an OnlyFans creator, I actually think in some ways is harder than being a lawyer. And this is one thing I talked about, is the fact that like you don't have like a mentor, you don't have anyone that you can be like, you know what I mean? And I actually think that like both on OnlyFans and I think on Reddit, but I know for sure OnlyFans, because I am a successful creator, I actually get help quicker than other people do. And that I mean, I'm grateful for it, but it upsets me because like I don't think I need it as much as other people do. Like I remember when OnlyFans, for a second, they like because I was uploading a consent form for my sex tapes and something happened, so they froze it. And I was looking at other girls saying that, oh, they never got back to them or it takes them months. And like I got pretty quick responses, but I actually didn't need it unfrozen immediately to pay my bills. But a lot of girls do. And I was like, the people who need it the most are getting it the least. And then the people at the top, especially those even more at the top than me, the Amaranths and the whoever that are making millions a month, like they get their responses like that because they're making the platform more money. So it's just the way life works, and it's really shitty. I've also had my account. And then so I reached out to Ashley, and I remember I was like, she was the first person to be like, oh, I'm so sorry this happened to you. Like no one else says something like that except other sex workers when you're in that situation. And she was like, here's what you can do. And I appealed and I got it back in a couple hours, and they never told me why. They're just like, oh, your account has been reinstated. We apologize for the inconvenience. That's it. And I've noticed that I feel like you feel like you're constantly doing something wrong when you're an OnlyFans creator and a sex worker. Like you feel like you're doing something you're not supposed to be doing. So I have the mindset of like, oh, okay, thank you for giving it back to me. Like it's almost like you feel so defeated that you're not like, well, why did you do that? Can't you tell? Like you're just kind of like, thank you for anything that you do for me. Your off account was suspended. No, my Reddit account was suspended, which they talk about in this. And I think that's one of the things that started them. I mean, I don't know how to say it, scroungers. You can tell me what got you guys to actually, because I'm curious, what made you guys decide to do this? But from Ashley's Twitter, I think she said she noticed like an uptick in this happening. And I remember reading that and being like, oh shit, I hope this doesn't happen to me. And then it happened to me. And so the first person I thought to reach out to was Ashley. And yeah, it happened to me actually twice. And one time or a couple times, once when I started, and then once like even like less than a year ago, I had my account detected as spam. So it shadow banned me. And then I wrote to Reddit, and Reddit does like both times within a few hours, they give it back to you, but it's like so nerve wracking during that time. And they're like, oopsie, sorry. Yeah, exactly that. Ashley noticed an uptick and reached out in Twitter, and we had worked together in MasterCard stuff before. Wow. I'm really, if you want to, I don't know if you ever want to like come on here and talk with me. I don't know if you want to like conceal your identity, or you just want to give me some information, because I want to do a YouTube video on this. And you and Ashley are probably far more knowledgeable than I am, because I was one of those. Hold on, let me charge my light. I am one of those people that like was so unaware of all of this. So even in 2021, when OnlyFans was like going to ban explicit content, I had just started and I was like, I can't believe them. I didn't know it was due to banks and payment processors. I've noticed a lot of these platforms do that. Oh, you did a bad thing, you're banned. What bad thing? You know the bad one. Yeah. So you guys mentioned in this that there is no TOS update. There is no like, it's not like Reddit said, okay, we're going to start banning this or we're going to start shadow banning this or anything. It just happened. And that's scarier because it's almost like I still feel like, you know, especially with the API changes, I'm like, it's like I wait for the day that Reddit's going to be like, we can't do this anymore. So it's really like, you know, scary for us. Twitter and Reddit are the only two that still allow it. Twitter, I mean, who the fuck knows what's going to happen there? And then even Reddit. And for those of you that don't know, Reddit and Twitter are the only places where you can actually even directly promote your OnlyFans. So OnlyFans is really bizarre because you are required to promote yourself, but you're restricted to promoting yourself on like social media platforms, because how else would you promote yourself? And then you're not allowed to promote yourself on social media platforms. Like you're not allowed to promote yourself on TikTok. You're not allowed to promote yourself on Instagram. Like you have to be really sneaky with it. And my OnlyFans girlies, y'all know it's like we got 3 phones. We have 2 accounts on every phone because you know 3 of them are going to go down on TikTok tomorrow and then Instagram, and you don't want them connected. Like, oh my gosh, it's like some people, it's like you connect to the Wi-Fi, but then this one you don't connect to the Wi-Fi, and then you get like, it is like these girls are hustlers, and we have to be hustlers because we have no choice. We have to promote ourselves on the internet, and the internet says we're not allowed to promote ourselves. So fun stuff. Oh yeah, I'd love to chat about it or do a YouTube or something. Hazard has my info and can share. Yeah, I would love that. I've really wanted to connect with more people in like the sex work activism space. But I am like a piece of shit when it comes to reaching out and like connecting with people. I was a bad networker as a lawyer, and I'm even a worse networker as an OnlyFans creator. So yes, I would love to connect and do just because I want the right info. And that's why I've waited so long to do the video, is because I want to make sure that especially with my legal background, like I still didn't read the Sesta Fosta case. I just looked at the EEF's report on it, but I want to really like do a breakdown of that legislation and what's happening, and then maybe spread some awareness for COSA. The accounts that like surveil your photo data and shit, it's terrifying. Yep, I can recommend some brilliant sex work activists and educators in the Discord. Perfect. Yeah, I would love that. And also those of us that use Reddit also know that it's run by, so you have your Reddit, but then you have the subreddits, and the subreddits are pretty much run by volunteer moderators, and it's really hit or miss with them. Even now I'm like afraid to talk about them. we're like living at the whim of these moderators. And there's some great ones. I even know some of like, I'm recognizing usernames, but there are also really bad ones. And a lot of us have had really horrible experiences with moderators. My moderator knows that we like last week, we just got banned off of like, 5 subreddits for no reason. They're just like, okay, bye. And I even had an experience where a moderator messages me and goes, I'll let you break all the rules if you send me content. Like these things happen. And I like reported it to the other moderators, and I think they took care of it. But it's like these volunteers have all the power in their hands, and a lot of them also run other subreddits, and once you get banned off one of them, it's like literally for no reason. Like sometimes it's just like, I don't like you or whatever, and it's like ban, and they aren't sex work friendly, a lot of them, which is very bizarre because I mean, I don't know what Reddit used to look like before the proliferation of OnlyFans. I know there are some exhibitionists. I know there are people who like to post on Reddit just for fun, but obviously it's used as a means of promoting a business, and we're giving you guys free, like my Reddit is a free OnlyFans page. It's not as good as my real OnlyFans page, which is why you still subscribe, but I have a ton of content on there, and I post a lot. And I do that and I provide people with this content because as a means of promoting my business. And so then you do that and you'll go on these subreddits and you'll do really well. People will upvote you. You'll get to the top and people are like, it's great. Thank you for sharing. And the subreddit's like, well, you have an OnlyFans. And it's like, it's like they have this bad taste in their mouth for OnlyFans creators. And I don't know. It feels like there's this like tension on Reddit with us and them sometimes. And I have learned to just, let bygones be bygones. I used to get really irritated when I would get banned for no reason arbitrarily. And now I'm just like, it is what it is. You never want to talk back to them. You never, like, you are literally, they have all the power and they're not qualified for that. So it's really strange. I even had, Eli, you remember this? I had a person that was trying to do like revenge porn. Basically, he was angry at me for not selling him content that he wanted, so he was trying to leak all my stuff and post it. And I have my opinion on, like, I've been okay with leaks recently, but he was like doing it maliciously, vindictively, message, like writing, and I couldn't block anyone at the time. Reddit finally fixed my blocking feature, but he would comment on all my posts like, oh guys, just message me, I have blah blah blah. And so I was messaging the moderators of different subreddits and I'm like, hey, this person is doing this. And most of them blocked him, but there was one. And the guy's like, well, gave him a warning. And I'm like, this is like literally a federal crime. Like he's like maliciously releasing and then it was like some French moderator. And he's like, well, in America, you guys are guilty until innocent, but here in France, like, I just want everyone to get along and I just want everyone to be like, I want to give people second chances. When he was literally writing things like, if you guys want this whore's fucking content, go, like, you know what I mean? And I'm like, he's violating Reddit's rules. And then Reddit immediately suspended that person's account. And then the moderator messaged me like, oh yeah, if Reddit banned him, then I guess I'll ban him. And I'm like, oh, thank you. I'm like, your job as a moderator, you are allowed to pick the rules of your own subreddit, but if someone's breaking Reddit rules, then, it's pretty good indication that it breaks subreddit rules because Reddit's rules trump subreddit rules. Reddit, it's like the Supreme Court. So yeah, we've had a lot of that. So I love the recommendations that this study put forth. So number one, establish and consult with a stakeholder advisory council for marginalized groups on the platform, including sex workers. Secure an adult-friendly advertiser network to monetize not safe for work subreddits properly, or simply allow adult creators on the site to advertise in related subreddits. This would both minimize spam and bring in revenue. Work with a human rights standard for content moderation through partnerships with social justice and human rights groups rather than solely political, technological, and financial institutions. Join with other adult-friendly social media sites like Twitter and OnlyFans in conversation with trade associations like the Free Speech Coalition and initiatives such as Sex Positive Social Media to shape adult content guidelines and prioritize user control and consent by allowing them to express what they want to express and see what they want to see, which includes the right to see explicit content if they wish. Yes, and I'm curious, has Reddit, I don't know if you guys, where's the person that worked on this? Sorry, I'm behind on these. I'm going to scroll up a little bit, go through these comments really quick. Okay. The accounts, yeah, I've read that. We're all so busy, but yeah, legal background is an incredible asset to bring. Yeah, and whatever ways I can help. Like I said that to Ashley too. I would love to get involved. Would it be better if there were no major content hosting platforms and creators just hosted their own sites? That would be so difficult to do. I mean, even large platforms like OnlyFans constantly risk losing their banking. And they almost did. Like, I didn't know this, but it's incredibly hard to actually have a successful platform that processes payments for adult content. Probably, I don't know. I'm just going to call you Scrounger. I don't know what else to do. Knows about it, and it seems like he worked with the MasterCard situation. So he or she, I don't know, knows more about it than I do. And yeah, it's very difficult to have like your own website. And plus it like you know, OnlyFans takes 20%. I don't think that's bad. Like, you know, I use their platform, they do the processing for me. I mean, they could be better with their tech sometimes, but um it's easier sometimes to just use a platform, give them 20% and have them take care of all that. You're just constantly worried that some shit's going to go down because this is what you do. Um, a bunch of people said they had the same thing, people fishing for free content. Yeah, moderators. And Reddit really like holds their moderators and like it's really hard. I don't know if now there's, but I remember at the time it was really hard to even report the moderator. Like I literally messaged the other moderators and was like, I don't know what to do about this because I didn't know how to report it. Yeah, a lot of them are anti-promoting content and don't even allow sex workers to post, even though they don't post promotional content. Yeah, that's happened to me where, you know, they're like, no sellers. And I'm like, okay. Um, or I mean, as my moderator knows, we literally got banned like last week. He says he has beef with all the sub moderator mods. Yeah. Some of them are really nice. I will give like some of them are nice. Like one of them I was banned from was like, "Oh, we're just changing it." It was like an Asian one and they're like, technically I'm Middle Eastern, which is, you know, Asian, but they were looking for um East Asians. And they're like, and I'm like, that's why, sorry, wish you the best of luck. I'm like, that's totally fine. Great. But the ones that just ban you and you don't know why, the verifications that they want, some of them are really weird. I was trying to verify for God pussy or something. And I held up the thing, did it. They're like, no, we want a picture of your pussy. And I'm like, to verify that I'm me? Like they're like, "Yes." And they just it's really yeah, and, from what I've heard, they'll, like, go into the creator threads and, like, if someone talks shit about them, they'll ban them, and there's a lot of abuse going on. I've heard, an extremely small amount of people are mods in a large portion of the most popular subreddits. I don't know how. Yeah, so I will say for not safe for work subreddits, you'll have a few that, like, moderate a ton. And some of them are good, um, and some of them are not. So that's just what it is. I still to this day have major subreddits that I used to kill it on that just ban me for no reason. And I don't know why. I've also heard, I don't think I've experienced this personally, which is just a part of my privilege, but I have heard of other girls complaining that if they're bigger or if they don't fit conventional standards of beauty, sometimes this falls disproportionately on sex workers who are people of color. They claim that they get not only harassed and bullied on Reddit. Luckily, I would say Reddit is the platform I get the least bullied on. Like, you should check out my Instagram comments. But and they just get banned because the moderator doesn't think they're hot. So that's weird. I will even say I've gotten some privilege because I've had moderators be like, "Oh, you don't really, but we'll let you post anyway because I think you're hot." Like I've literally had that, and I'm like, I mean, I don't want special treatment. I just want all of us to be able to post. Oh my god, I love it. Yeah, Ashley's the best. She is the best. Yeah, a lot of Reddit mods just feel like they want to, yeah. I don't know. Somebody here wants to offer promotion. So they did this survey. You guys, I'm not going to go over the demographics and all of that, but unsurprisingly, they found that a lot of people are talking about how their posts aren't getting as many views. They're getting the bans, suspensions out of nowhere. They are getting their posts caught in spam filters. And it's had a negative effect on their income. It's had a negative effect on mine in the past few months too. Luckily, you know, I still do fine. I have built up different means of promotion, but like if Reddit continues to go down, it's just really sad because I love Reddit and it's the only place I think Twitter is too, but Twitter, I don't know, maybe I just don't think I've mastered Twitter. But with Reddit, it's like my platform. And if they were to ever be like, you were banning not safe for work shit, like my whole profile's done. It's done because that's all I post on there. You know, it's the kind of thing I promote. Um, so I will say though that compared to other platforms, Reddit is still the best, and they have the option to report for non-consensual intimate media. And at least when I do it, they take care of it pretty quickly. I read in this that sometimes people get that on their own content, which sucks. And I'm not sure exactly how you would go about even resolving that. So far with me, I think like it's pretty clear that which one my real profile is. So I haven't seen that. Um, a lot of people, where they have this little chart of people that have seen these changes, and it's been 38% in the last year, which this was back in 2022. I bet if you did it now, because this is the new API changes and the Imgur ban has been, that's when I really notice shit. You know, when you get your shit banned and then it comes back, you're like, okay, things are back on track. But this is like, actually affecting things. Moderator communications, yeah. So I just discussed, you usually just get a message that says, you have been permanently banned from participating in blah, blah, blah. Because your post violates the rules. And if you sometimes are like, hey, I don't understand, why did I violate the rules? You don't get any response. So you don't, and for now it just rolls off my shoulder. I know I'm luckier than most, and I know there are some really great moderators, but it is what it is. There's something else I wanted. Yeah, so there's been an impact on business, impact on site use, political environment. So yeah, there's like they talk about FOSTA SESTA in here. Yeah, this is 55 pages. I went through it. I don't know how, and they actually go through like you guys did a really good job on this. This is really easy to read. You guys have graphs. You guys I highly recommend this. Like I said, Hazard posted it on Discord. Hold up. Are you telling me that the same men trying to stop females from making, are you telling me that some men are trying to stop females from making money? Shut up, Ella. Some people with just a little bit of power, fuck it all the way up. Yeah, some men and some women, but I think in particular some men have a huge issue with women making money off of their bodies. They want you to post it for free, I posted like a clip on Reddit today. Everyone's like, where's the sound? I want sound. I'm like, beggars can't be choosers. That's literally what I always respond. Okay, I wanted to just do that really quickly because I really want to get into the SESTA FOSTA stuff and the COSA stuff. But okay, thanks. I know it's so long, but we tried to make it. Yeah, you did make it really visually fun. And the only reason I'm not going through the whole thing is because a lot of you guys have it. And so I don't want to just go through something that you could go through. But yeah, basically big impact on business, traffic. It's I don't know if has Reddit communicated anything with you guys when you released the study. Did you send it to Reddit? And I know you guys had those kind of initiatives that you wanted Reddit to implement. I don't know, I'm curious, did Reddit respond to this? What has been Reddit's response to this? What has anyone's response to this been? It's pretty, thank you. I second Jazz with the excellent way you prove. Yeah, it's really digestible, guys. Like graphs, everything. It's not like 55 pages of like text. So excellent work. I appreciate it so much. No, we haven't heard anything from Reddit. Okay. Yeah. Sometimes when I'm nervous, I go on Ashley's Twitter and I'm like, anywhere. OnlyFans too recently has been like cracked, but I just, you're just waiting for the day where it's like Reddit's like, we're banning this. But the fact that I think and I don't know if you guys remember this, but maybe, well, Starboom, you said you don't post as often, but I would say about, I don't know how long ago this was. All of a sudden, all the subreddits, I think Reddit was cracking down on I think Reddit is struggling to keep the content on the platform, but they're trying, which is why they've changed up how they deal with these kind of reports, and it's gotten better. Like now when I report something that's stolen, they will address it within the same day, actually. I don't know if this is the experience for everybody, but I hope so. And what else was I saying? That they started requiring They started requiring verification on a lot of subreddits require us to verify, which I don't really have a problem with, especially when you can reuse. Like a lot of them were like you could send the one you did for another one, or if you were verified on another subreddit, it worked. I don't really have an issue with that. I don't know if it causes some kind of issue, but I am totally fine with I'm not okay with them wanting to verify users, like, right? Like people putting in their IDs to watch porn or shit like that. But, I'm okay with Pornhub and OnlyFans and even Reddit verifying the creators so that, just like OnlyFans does, that we are consenting adults and we're not underage and all of that. Although the verification system on Reddit doesn't really confirm that. It just, you just are trying to say it's actually you. So stats aren't my forte. Well, you did a great job. We sent it to a bunch of journalists, but no bites. Yeah. I know the one who did I'm going to send it to the one who did the Business Insider article on me. She's the best. She actually follows Ashley too on Twitter. We both do. And I need to follow your Twitter. Anyone who has any kind of sex work activism Twitter, I need to follow them because I feel like I just follow Ashley and a couple of others. I also follow Nicole, the UCLA researcher, a couple other ones. I love a pie chart too. Yeah, verification is fine as long as Reddit doesn't want a photo of my ID. Yeah, and so far they don't. If they ever did, I would want to make sure that it's going to Reddit, like not volunteer moderators that are going to potentially dox us, I think they can look at your socials, and if you have an OF account, they know you're at least 18. Yeah, it's another weird thing. Like if you can, I guess the verification, and this has happened where other people have made an OnlyFans account of like me, and I'm assuming the way that they go about that is they verify and then they just post a completely different person. And I don't know if OnlyFans AI like catches that. So I've had fake accounts that will actually link my real OnlyFans. I'm like, okay. And then some that will do that. And OnlyFans does take those down pretty quickly, but people go through, do all kinds of shit to scam people and make a buck. Pie, delicious pie. I see. Yeah, it's really weird. Yeah. And then people they find my real profile and they get mad at me. They're like, I was scammed by this person pretending to be you and I lost this much. Like they expect me to compensate them. I'm like, bro, I don't. I'm like, I just report them. That's literally the only power I have. And that's something that I've learned to just deal with. Like being like, at first it used to really bother me. And now I'm just like, it's part of the territory. Like I was not somebody that ever was too affected by hate comments. Like I kind of like them because I'm combative and I'm like, oh, you have a problem with sex work? Cool, let's talk about it. But when it comes to leaks and people just being like, or stealing your like that used to, or pretending to be you, that used to drive me nuts. And now I'm just like, okay, like I do what I can, I report, but I feel like I shouldn't be held liable for people getting scammed by. There are people who literally send me a picture of me on like some like escorting site, and it's like written in horrible English, and it's like, need a visa to the United States, I'll like cook and clean for you. And they're like, is this you? And I'm like, do you think that's me? And like my whole thing, I've said this before, if you want to impersonate me, fine, but do not impersonate me and make it seem like I'm about to come cooking and cleaning for motherfuckers, okay? I don't cook and clean for anybody, barely myself. So that is like they still don't understand that just because they stole your likeness, it doesn't mean that you scammed them. I know. I'm like, I'm sorry this happened to you, but and oh my gosh, and I remember Snapchat. I'll sometimes sign up for a platform and use Jasmine Jafar, and it's like it's already taken. I'm like, okay, so it's already taken by somebody pretending to be me. Snapchat has like 300. Mine isn't even Jasmine Jafar, but that one is, and I report it to Snapchat. Snapchat's like, we do not have evidence that this. I'm like, here's my face, bro. Like, here's my face. Their profile has my face. What do you mean there's there's no evidence? so frustrating. And like, this is kind of what I was talking about in the video that's going to drop soon, is like, you as a lawyer, you almost have like so much privilege in society. Like, you kind of get access to resources you wouldn't otherwise get. And when you're a sex worker, it's like, no, fuck you for everything. And I'm at the top of this. I'm not saying I'm like the most, I'm not the top, but I am amongst the most privileged. I would say like in the 1% of sex workers in the world, and definitely within the top 1% on OnlyFans, at least I can say. And I am still like dealing with this shit. So I'm like, I can't imagine what, everyday sex workers are doing. They're just trying to get by, and they're dealing with probably 50 times more bullshit than I am. I can already recommend Eva for the Discord. She's been a follower of mine, and a woke bae. Love a woke bae. Okay, cool. Yeah, if you could put it in the Discord too, so I can see it later. You can pretend to be me, but don't say I'm gonna be cooking and clean. Yeah, no, that draws the line. Okay, like, they're like, I'll cook and clean and suck your dick, and it's like a picture of me and my boobs, or like with my ass out, and I'm like, this is all fine and dandy except for the cooking and cleaning. Okay, so Sesta Fosta. So I am looking at the EEF's take article on this. I didn't read the case myself. I am plan on doing that before I do the YouTube video. Your brain is incredible. Thank you. I feel like we're just chatting here right now. Maybe cooking and cleaning jazz is a kink for some. True. It's a kink that I will not be able to fulfill, but also, I don't know, something about, they're trying to make me a fucking passport bro wife. Like me of all people. They're using my likeness to appeal to passport bros. They're like, I'll come be your wife, and I'm traditional, and I'll cook and clean. And I'm like, don't use my fucking face for that bullshit. Yeah, a kink that you don't consent to. Yeah, so Star Womb and D Hizzle were having a really interesting discussion in the Discord that I think was going to be the discussion for next week, when we talk about the ethics of like certain kinks, like race play, age play, etc., and stuff like that. I have a controversial take, but I don't think it's actually going to be that controversial in this chat. It's just controversial in society, but all of us in here have controversial takes for society. I think we are all controversial human beings, and we're controversial just solely because we're like, hey, people should be able to, have bodily autonomy and choose what to do with their bodies, and have the freedom to do that without facing unique forms of discrimination and stigma. So we're already controversial for that, so why not? I love when you are on Twitch. I can watch you all day. Thank you. You can also watch another side of me in about half an hour. Do you feel any soul ties from your past sexual encounters? No, soul tie is not. I'm a science gal, okay, and soul ties is like not a fucking thing. At least in my opinion, doesn't have any evidence to back it. That doesn't mean you don't feel feelings of like attachment or whatever, but I'm not like a soul tie, like my energy and your energy, and then that's all the woo-woo stuff. And you must be new here because I'm very anti-woo-woo. My very existence is controversial. Me too. Welcome. It's not showing emotions, and these dumb motherfuckers were on camera crying when they got Oh, Fresh and Fit. Oh my god, I rewatched Myron crying on Fresh and Fit. I was like, what is this? He's like, saving children is great. Saving you guys is better. I do not, not to give him a shout out, but I don't think everyone in here either knows who they are or they wouldn't probably like them. Now, I got to be fair. I don't like deplatforming and demonetizing, because the problem is if you allow it for them, then I don't know exactly what they did. Now, I am not one of those people that's like, you should be able to post anything. And like people like Nick Fuentes should be banned. Like, if I was running a platform, I wouldn't allow someone like that on there. Fresh and Fit, I'm not exactly sure what they did to get demonetized. So I'd have to look at it, but their content is egregious, but I would still allow it on the platform, but I would just throw up allowing it. Science confirms the conscious a soul is just your conscious, your internal monologue, etc. What does science confirm? Because consciousness is actually very hard to study in science, and it's one of the greatest mysteries of philosophy, science, everything. And so I don't know what science even could confirm about consciousness. Said this to somebody at work. It's not necessarily illegal to be stupid or dumb. Yeah, it's not. Eva. Is this the Eva you were just talking about? So, hey. I love when other girls are in here. Yeah, I'm gonna. Yeah, I don't know how much the soul and science even. They're usually, not in the same realm of. It's not really something that's testable. Yeah, that's Eva. She rocks. Hi, Eva. Nice to meet you. Have you been here before? I don't know why maybe I just recognize the other people have had that color of profile picture. But anyways, okay, so the title of this is DC Circuit Foster ruling lets a bad law stay on the books, but offers meaningful protection for some sex worker forums and sex workers using online services. Yeah, anyone who knows about this or has probably read this or has additional information, please share, because I just read this before going on here, and this is kind of all I know. I did read it when it first came out, or something when it first came out. I might have even read the opinion, but I don't honestly remember. So the Court of Appeals for the DC Circuit on July 7th affirmed the dismissal of Woodhull Freedom Foundation v. US. Woodhull Freedom Foundation, I'm sure Eva and Starwomb and Hazard, you guys all know, but anyone else who doesn't know, they're great. You should follow them. I hope one day I can get involved and work with them. They are great. But they dismissed the constitutional challenge to FOSTA, which means it's still going to be there for the time being. But they have narrowed its scope in a way that is beneficial. It doesn't go as far as I would like, and we're going to talk about that, but it's better than nothing, I guess. No, this is my first time here. Oh, okay. Well, welcome. I'm excited to check out your content. I love connecting with Starwomb is great. I love everybody, but other girls are so great to hear from because my audience is so male dominated. FNF is really just an echo chamber for red pills. Intrinsically, while it's dangerous for rhetoric to be shared, the men who subscribe to that thought really don't have any meaningful / applicable power. I feel like, look at the Trump phenomenon, and, social media does affect elections at this point. Look at vaccine misinformation. So I'm not going to say they don't have any power, but I will say that, I don't know if censoring them is going to it's going to get rid of that power necessarily, right? Deplatforming doesn't always do that. In fact, it creates the illusion that they were right, or something they said was true, and that's why they're being deplatformed. And then they just go on Rumble and they keep spreading their bullshit. They're still posting on YouTube. They're just demonetized from what I've heard. Many report experiencing things dying and coming back. So people's subjective experiences aren't super credible information, especially for science, right? There's a bunch of people who claim Jim Jones or whoever made them cured their cancer, etc. So you can't. Plus, there's so many conflicting. They can't both be true. This person says this happened. This person says this happened. You can be on a fucking acid trip and think a bunch of shit happened that didn't happen. Many say, or people think, yeah, that shit's not gonna. Exactly. My point wasn't that the soul exists after death, but rather that we have a soul that is affected by how we live. It depends how you define soul. Also, followers of that kind of philosophy also have effect on the people around them in real life. Yes, that's true. After Twitter banned Trump, it almost made him a martyr as if he was trying to be silenced. Yeah, so as we know, pretty much any attack on Trump now makes him a martyr to his fan base. So that's fun. Psychology Today doesn't really share evidence, just opinions. Yeah, and if anything, they sometimes will link to actual science, but Hazard Stint one time shared a really good post on how to identify bad science. You know, we have to make sure it's replicable, peer reviewed, it has a decent sample size. Usually, if there's a control group, we can get a control group, blind, like a double blind study, like all of those things, it makes some evidence stronger. And so you got to be careful, especially when it's just, oh, this one study here, you know, and sometimes it's just like, there's a study that literally says the average age the average age of death of a porn star is like 33. Like porn stars are just killing themselves. They're overdosing at 33. And then you actually look at it and it's like done by this psycho Christian pastor who was looking at the age they exit the industry and just counting that as like when they die. You know, so you got to be careful with this stuff. What about FNF is egregious? They spew an ideology that's based in nothing and they pretend it's based in science and logic and critical thinking, although in order to believe that, you have to forfeit the rules of logic, you have to forfeit all of science, critical thinking, everything. And also the stuff they say, I mean, they say literally things like women are just not as good as men, women are unequal, women are stupider, and again, none of this is based in anything. Moderator said just skim the article and it's nonsense. Psycho Christian pastor. Yeah. Oh my God. Sorry. So back to Sestafasta. Yes. Okay. So it's narrower. So for those of you that need a refresher, FOSTA, the Allow Victims to Fight Online Sex Trafficking Act, contained these restrictions, which have had a chilling effect on speech. So number one, it created new federal, criminal, and civil liability for anyone who owns, manages, or operates an interactive computer service. So this is going to include all social media platforms, and speaks or host third-party content to promote or facilitate the prostitution of another person. Okay, so lawyer time. Look at this language. Promote or facilitate the prostitution of another person. I have a lot of questions. Okay, does this include this? Does this include that of another person? Okay, it's like, expanded the criminal and civil liability to treat any online speaker or platform that allegedly assists, supports, or facilitates sex trafficking as participating in a venture with individuals directly engaged in sex trafficking. So again, broad. There are certain things that could fall into that you don't know. So what do platforms do? The most logical thing to do, which is overcorrect, because you don't want to risk the liability. So you're like, I don't know if this falls into it. So let's just filter all of this out. Let's just ban all of this. The Reddit sex work subreddit was gone. Kind of all the subreddits related to women or men, just all sex workers who were actual engaging in prostitution, and we're using those forums to talk about it, to organize. Sex educators were even affected by this, because this is the third one is actually where that falls into play. So carved out significant exceptions to the immunity provisions of blah, 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 to create new criminal and civil liability for online platforms based on whether the content expressed by their users' speech might be seen as promoting or facilitating prostitution, or as assisting, supporting, or facilitating sex trafficking. Okay, biggest issue with Sestafasa, and this has not been resolved, is conflating prostitution and trafficking. It's almost used interchangeably, which is absurd, because we all know those are not the same thing. Consensual sex work, consensual prostitution is obviously very different than trafficking. So when you say that people could be held liable for promoting or facilitating prostitution, this can impact everybody. This can even impact people who are advocating for decriminalizing sex work. Right? So one of the ways that this was narrowed is the court says that it doesn't affect those people. But initially, the reason that even sex educators were shadow banned and people who are, activists for sex workers and sex positivity pages and all of that, they were also affected by this. So I'm still very irritated by the fact that prostitution and trafficking is just used almost interchangeably when they are clearly very different things. I think men and women are equal in value, but not in function. Feminism tells women to be like men, and that causes. I don't think that's not what feminism tells men. You can. You go watch me on their show if you just want to spew their talking points, because I feel like I try to address some of them. Most women file for divorce, and most women file for divorce. What does that even mean? Not even most people. Like, I think it's 50% of people get divorced. So how does it even make sense? Yeah, hell, that could be the Uber driver that takes you to a date. Facilitate. Yeah. So luckily, that's been narrowed, and we're going to talk about that, but it hasn't been narrowed enough. And the biggest thing for me was the conflating the trafficking and the prostitution, because the undertone of this legislation is basically, it just completely ignores that there are people who do this willingly, that do this because they want to, and it kind of throws it all under, oh, it's all exploitation, it's all trafficking. I mean, the way that they use prostitution and trafficking pretty much interchangeably is crazy. Like, even when it says the prostitution of another person, and they talk about how they mean like, oh, we're talking about like pimping and blah, blah, blah. Like, I mean, a lot of those situations, oh my God, my hair is driving me crazy. I'm not saying there can't be exploitation in that, but I also think that, if you have even only like, let's say you have an OnlyFans management company or something. See, you guys, this hair, I can't even find it. Oh, it's right here. Does that count? Well, I guess OnlyFans wouldn't count as prostitution, although a lot of OnlyFans girls are affected by this. It just becomes, to me, trafficking should be very clear of like doing this without consent or being coerced, or any of that language should be clear in this to make that distinction. And instead it's like, oh, prostitution, and prostitution is bad, and prostitution, I guess, almost necessarily involves, I guess, trafficking, which is obviously not the case. Andrew Tate was an OnlyFans manager. Yes, he was. I don't know if that's all he was, though. Prostitution is also a pejorative term that people automatically assumes means non-consensual, so it can be weaponized within legal jargon. That's exactly to promote anti-sex worker biases. To me, it's never been, I've never thought of it as non-consensual, but I'm seeing now, sorry, I'm trying to fix this, don't fall, that you're completely right. And it's, there are just certain words that people conflate. Like, speaking of Fresh and Fit, if you guys remember when they're like, men and women are not equal, you think they're equal? I'm like, yeah. They're like, but they're not the same. And I'm like, but the same doesn't mean like different doesn't mean unequal. Like, and they're all like, huh? And I'm like, wait, did we not, like, do you guys not like learn like English? Like, was there not like a dictionary available to you? Like, things can be different but still be equal in value. Like, is this really where we are at? And that's how I feel about the prostitution and trafficking. Like, they have clearly different definitions, and yet, oh, it's very frustrating. And like I said, coming from the world I come from, where you're like, just you're given all this privilege, you're like a privileged member of the system, and then being a sex worker where you feel like you have no voice. And if anyone has a voice in this, it's me, because I come from that world, and I still feel like I don't have a voice. So it's frustrating. Prostitution isn't illegal in the United States to prevent trafficking. It's legal in the United States because it was regarded as an act of moral turpitude. The anti-trafficking angle comes from European law. What do you mean by it comes from European law? But yeah, I mean, we all know that, what is it? Morality and Mia Center for, we're going to talk about the Ashton Kutcher stuff. I hope we can maybe even talk about it today. But obviously, and it's interesting when you actually look at these protecting children organizations and you look at their platform and they're like, sex is inherently, prostitution and sex work is inherently misogynistic. It's inherently this, that. We even have rad femmes, oh my God, who, like, we have the anti-sex work feminists, and I don't think anyone pisses me off more than those people. Even language like she prostituted herself would mean she consented, but the word prostitute for most people means she didn't consent, so people think it's sex trafficking. It's so weird. She prostituted herself. I mean, people, I'm pretty sure if I check my DM, someone says, you prostitute yourself, which I don't know. I guess I don't think about this like the general population, because even when I was a kid and someone would be like slut, and I would look up the definition of slut, and it's like has many casual sexual partners, I was like, what's like, where, how is that bad? Like, you know what I mean? And this can get into, you guys, I did a YouTube video, if you guys remember, like a long time ago, breaking down some of the arguments people make about sex work and why it's immoral, and none of them are very convincing, especially if you know, the only, I guess, semi-strong one is if you believe in an authority through religion and they say so, I guess you're like, well, but then anyone who doesn't believe in that, like me, it doesn't work. And then there's like the detriment to self, the detriment to society. It's like a paternalistic, like, just, oh, it's horrible. So Jasmine, you think men and women are equal in value and function? Just curious. I think they have complementary differences. Don't see an issue with that. They are not the same. I never said they're the same, but I do think they're equal in value for sure. I remember a long time ago, it was either an Oprah or Dr. Phil, where they had a escort, porn star, stripper, and prostitute all together, and they all had a very long discussion. That's surprising for Oprah and Dr. Phil. I have to head to bed, but it was lovely to join. Yeah, thank you so much, and thank you so much for your work. Appreciate it. People are individuals with individual traits that are both masculine and feminine. Not every woman is the same, and not every man is the same, and their value and functions depend on what they can offer as an individual. Very true. And men and women can be different in certain ways on average, but there's more intragroup variation than intergroup variation. And that's something people don't understand is, you know, like you can say men make more money than women, but now, like, the average woman makes more than 40% of men. So you gotta, like, people just really think black and white, and I don't always even know if they have the capacity to think deeper. And I'm starting to be a little bit more sympathetic to that, because I'm like, how are you this fucking stupid? Like, if you guys watched me last week where the guy was like, oh, and he claimed to be super smart, Oxford graduate, and he's like, yeah, because I talk a lot about how a lot of these fresh and fake guys, because they're fucking dumb, they don't know how stats work. And so they're like, well, 70% of divorces are initiated by women, and like 80% are initiated if they're college educated, then it's this much. So that means 80% of divorces are initiated by college educated women. I'm like, wait, no, because you're looking, you know what I mean? And last week the guy completely didn't get this. I don't understand. So many people are just products of their environment, just brainwashed, even if it's against their own good. That's very true. And a lot of people just don't have the skills to think critically. And part of that, and I'm not even going to say it's like always a lack of education, because I know some people who barely finish high school, but they read a lot. I think reading is fucking key. Like, people read like a book, not Twitter, not Instagram. Read. Like, people who read a lot, you know, I feel like operate on a different caliber than everybody else. I can tell everyone in my Discord group, for instance, like, has probably read at least a book in the last year. Education doesn't equal intelligence, but a weak group of statistics. Yes. So intelligence doesn't equal education, but I mean, we've talked about like how if you're less educated, you're more likely to be susceptible to conspiratorial thinking, et cetera. So education isn't the only way to obtain critical thinking skills, but it is one way to at least strengthen those skills. If you're not educated, that doesn't mean you can't get those skills, and you can't even get them just as well, but you have to be reading, you have to be doing things, you have to be engaging in these kind of discussions in order to do that. Like, you have to kind of go out of your way to get that. Whereas like sometimes in school, especially in higher education, like, it's like, I don't have a choice. I have to think critically or I'm not going to pass. Would you count reading hours of Wikipedia articles good by your standards? Yes, I would. As long as you are aware of how to weigh sources. So Wikipedia does have references. I like, we all know, okay? Every college graduate in here knows you start on Wikipedia. You start on Wikipedia. You're like, what the fuck is this? You start on Wikipedia and then you click on those sources. And then when you're writing your paper, you use it and then you cite the source that Wikipedia cited, but you fucking read Wikipedia, okay? I don't care what anybody says. Okay. We have 13 minutes. So, um, I'm going to skip to how it was narrowed. So, with respect to FOSTA's expanded definition of participation in a venture, the court ruled that knowingly assisting, supporting, or facilitating sex trafficking did not carry its plain everyday meaning, which would bring within the law sweep protected speech, such as advocacy for the decriminalization of sex work and the general distribution of health and safety information. Instead, the court said FOSTA's prohibition was limited to the criminal law concept of aiding and abetting. This is huge. Aiding and abetting means helping someone with the specific intent to further the commission of a crime. FOSTA thus only prohibits aiding and abetting a venture that one knows to be engaged in sex trafficking while knowingly benefiting from that venture. The court found, so they also said that it has to be actual knowledge. And that is huge because one of the biggest reasons that SESTA FOSTA was so horrible and that a lot of platforms had no choice but to overcorrect is knowledge, right? So in law, there's actual knowledge or like actual, so even with consent, right? There's implied consent, not with like sex. And that's not what I'm talking about. But usually when we're talking about like negligence or like if you're going to do a dangerous activity, these are the kind of cases where it's like, okay, explicit consent versus implied consent. So in knowledge, the tiers are actual knowledge, which is like, did you know? And then there is like, should you have known? And I'm going to talk about that. And so it wasn't clear before if these platforms needed to actually know or if they just had to, it would be reasonable for them to know. And the reasonable standard is really hard to gauge because it's very flimsical. And that is a big standard in the law. Like the reasonable person standard is what you use for like everything. Like pretty much everything in torts is like, would a reasonable person, blah, 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 intentional, okay, would a reasonable person, like, and it's like, who the fuck is this reasonable person? Like, who is the reasonable person? You don't know. So, sorry. I'm just like, the reasonable person standard is some fucking, yeah. Oh my God. The reasonable. So the court also found that the fault requirement in this part of FOSTA, despite initial disparities debated among federal courts, is now accepted as actual knowledge. This is, I think, the biggest win we have. So again, things aren't perfect, but this is a big win. That is, the law bars only knowing participation in sex trafficking venture, not participation when one should have known they were participating in a sex trafficking venture. So now it's very clear that the liability falls on those who actually know and are aiding and abetting instead of facilitating. And that, facilitating is like, what the fuck is facilitating, right? Now we know it's aiding and abetting, and we know they need actual knowledge and not like implied or, whatever. So those are good. The court adopted a similarly narrow interpretation of the new federal criminal law that made it illegal to operate an online service to promote or facilitate the prostitution of another person. The court held that promoting in the statute means only aiding and abetting prostitution, that is owning, managing, or operating an online platform with the intent to recruit, solicit, or find a place of business for a sex worker. Facilitation goes beyond those specific acts to also include other forms of aiding and abetting, but problematically, the court didn't specify what these are. So yeah, not perfect, but better than before. I don't like that you can't own, manage, or operate an online platform with the intent to recruit, solicit, or find a place of business for a sex worker. Like you can't solicit, I don't like this, but especially since this is just, again, using prostitution and not sex trafficking, which I guess is interchangeable to these people. But I do like that it has been narrowed with how we define facilitation and what's considered knowing. The vague definitions are so dangerous too, because someone who is like sitting in their car outside after driving their girlfriend to a booking to help keep her safe can be charged with sex trafficking, or two prostitutes who work together to keep each other safe can both. Yeah. So again, I hate the wording is cringe. Like it's just really bad. Now, especially when it comes to the internet, the problem is, like we said, a lot of platforms over censor, so like they'll just like, oh, we're just going to take down we're going to take down this subreddit because is this facilitating, is this that, they don't know. And while I think we have a little more guidance, I don't think we have enough. And these platforms, they're not losing sleep over what happens to me in Star Womb and Eva or whoever else is on here being a sex worker. They're worried about their own asses and their own liability. So if they have to just make decisions that protected our speech, they're like, yeah, sorry, that's just what we're going to have to do. And that's what's really annoying. As a person that studied law and actually was licensed, do you now feel that some of these legal loopholes are just all ways around the system to prosecute, manipulate a certain whatever group? Let me do that again. As a person that studied law and actually was licensed, do you now feel that some of these legal loopholes are just all ways around the system to prosecute, manipulate? I don't. By who? So who is the evil actor in what you're saying? I don't think like the system itself is like is a moral agent in the sense of like, we're going to do this to blah, blah, blah. But I do think that it's very easy when you are a marginalized group, especially a group that people just don't care about, like sex workers. We don't garner a lot of sympathy from the public. And the ones that people do know of are like really big, like OnlyFans creators, even people like me, and we don't garner a lot of sympathy from the public either. And so I think that these loopholes, it's very easy for groups like morality and media, et cetera, to pass or get this kind of stuff passed or make really damaging really push forth damaging policy initiatives that target us, and that kind of goes unnoticed or just nobody cares about it. So that I think is true. So I guess that's how I would answer that, as opposed to like the system just having this. I'm not a conspiracy theory, global cabal theory type of person. This idea that there's like a small group of evil actors and they're like controlling everything, and like I just don't subscribe to that. I think life and human beings were complex, we're nuanced, and we're flawed, and we kind of don't know what the fuck we're doing. We're all just animals on this planet. Like we just have bigger brains than all the other animals, but our brains are still not, great. Like that's the thing when people complain about, not that I have my issues with government too, but like, do you guys remember like who in school, it's like we were broken off into groups and we all had to start our own countries, and everyone's like, oh, we should do it this way, we should do it that way. And like, you look back and you're like, oh, that one was like more of a communist, and you don't know what you're doing. And then there's like, okay, should there be one leader? Should we all have equal? Like, it's really hard to actually run a country or a government or even the world. So obviously stuff like this, I think, is inevitable as humans trying to create a civilization. Like the same way that I feel like I'm an atheist, and I think it's so clear when you're looking at religion and the history of it. When you look at the world, you're like, this is exactly how religion would look if it was invented by humans, because it's been 10,000 different ones. It's different in every region. Like people just, the way that it's used, the way it's like exactly how you would expect it to be and to look and to operate if it was man-made. And that's how I feel when I look at governments and civilizations, and you're like, how did you guys fuck up the pandemic like this? How did you guys, and then you look at it, it's like, oh, because they're all human beings too. And when you have a bunch of human beings trying to coexist and flourish, and we all have different opinions, and we're all limited in what we know, and so like this idea that one special group of humans is like like predicting everything and sticking microchips in us is just absurd. Is prostitution usually good for a society? I know they say porn is bad, but what about prostitution? Honestly, not too sure. I don't think either of them are bad for society, but I don't think you can make blank like I don't think, you know, I'm not saying that people can't have an issue with it or that bad things can't happen both within the um confines of like the porn world and whatever, but I think it's like neutral. Are cheeseburgers bad for society? Are donuts bad for society? Like, I hate when people ask this about sex work. Like, it's natural. We all like sex. We all have sex drives. It's one of our fundamental urges. In fact, you can argue we're all just here to reproduce. Um, and so I don't think that on its own can be bad. Now, can people misuse it? Can you go too far with it? Just like, donuts are good every now and then. And if I don't think we should ban donuts because they're unhealthy. I think porn can be healthy. I think prostitution can be healthy. And I also think it can be unhealthy depending on who's consuming and who's um, is the person that's doing it. I don't like that a lot of people that do it don't have another choice, but I think the stigma keeps them there. Like I wish we didn't have the stigma and that women who didn't want to do it could have other options available to them, and women who want to do it, like me, could do it without being told 300 times a day that I am ruining the world or whatever. Okay, let me do these comments. Okay, let me make sure there's nothing else I want to say. So yeah, basically now we know that it doesn't affect sex educators, people who advocate for decrim, but obviously there are still a lot of unresolved questions and it's still a law. It's not unconstitutional, so that sucks, but just a quick little update. Oh, don't fall. Krispy Kreme. I ate a strawberry donut in Jersey City today. Oh, corporations are considered people in US law. So could you argue that if a company like Reddit or Twitter silences you on their site, wouldn't that be considered a break? No, you can't. Because it's like if I have a Discord, I can block people, I can ban people, I can determine the rules, you know what I mean? Because it's a private company with their own terms of service, as long as they're not breaking any, like they're not like, oh, black people can't use our, if it's not like that, then it's not free speech. Now, the only way that would change is if we declared like Twitter or X or the fuck it is, like and YouTube, the public square, and then the rules would be dictated by federal law, instead of a private company that is within its rights um, to dictate the terms of use of their own platforms. I think that's a really interesting conversation. But what's really interesting is I don't remember if you guys remember my obscenity discussion. Obscenity, which is porn, is not protected speech. But what is considered to be obscene depends on the standards of the community. So when you look at the cases, and there hasn't been cases on this in a while, they would look at like where you were and if it was too obscene for the area. Well, the internet, what is the community standards on the internet? So interesting stuff. But technically, if we were to declare it the public square, they could still ban if they were to literally, but I think you would get pushback because it's the internet. It's not like a billboard and, all the stuff that they were like. That's the thing. A lot of our cases and case law was from back in the day before the internet. So everything's changed, right? Like the public square back then was actually like, who the fuck now goes to like, their downtown public square and like holds up a pamphlet? Like nobody, right? It's like kind of like Chaplinsky case where fighting words was like, you goddamn racketeer. Like, I don't think those are fighting words in 2023, but that doctrine hasn't really been revisited. So we don't know. Technically, fighting words are not protected speech, but who knows what fighting words are in 2023. Obscenity doctrine is another one where it's like back then they were looking at pamphlets and people getting mailed like porn, like magazines. And now it's like we have all this porn on the internet. So what are the standards of the internet? Are there standards to the internet? Krispy Kreme donuts are okay. Very interesting donut discussion, but I want to make sure I read all the comments before I hop off. Do you think men should be sinners to be more attractive to women? I don't know what you're talking about, and I don't know why every um, first letter is capitalized, but welcome. I only ask because because I believe sex workers can help men that are sexually frustrated, and sexually frustrated men usually commit more crimes, I think. So there has been some evidence that it can have like a cathartic effect, but um obviously we need to look at the interests of the sex worker, the consumer. So I'm a big, I hate the Nordic model, where it's criminalizing the buyer and not this. Oh, don't even get me started on that. The only standard of the internet that I know of is net neutrality. Yeah, well, net neutrality is one of those things that um, has been, endangered as of late. I'm just not sure if prostitution leads to more crimes against women. There's no evidence to indicate that prostitution leads to more crimes against women, except in the sense that when prostitution is illegal, it results in more crimes against women, especially those who are prostitutes, because they don't have any help and you know, um, they can't protect themselves. And actually, Sesta Fosta has led to an increase in violence and death, even amongst sex workers. And obviously, this falls disproportionately on the most marginalized members of the community: people of color, sex workers of color, non-binary, trans, queer sex workers. So that is unfortunate. Sesta Fosta doesn't, I mean, I guess it kind of does affect me because I'm on the internet, but my life is not at risk because of Sesta Fosta, because I'm privileged, but a lot of sex workers don't have that. So yeah, sad stuff. Okay, next week I think I'm going to talk about and it's just going to be like, it's not me going to be me teaching you or talking about changes in legislation. I just want to have a discussion, and I would love for you guys to join so that I could get different inputs and different opinions. And thank you everybody for joining. Have you heard of the House Legal Prostitution House? And I haven't heard of that one, but I do think that from what I've read, there is issues with the legalization model that Nevada has implemented, kind of creating a two-tier system for sex workers. We can talk about that. I think I did stream on this kind of stuff a long time ago. Also, violent, sexually frustrated men can have sex with women and still hate women. Yeah. They're not going to change by having sex. Yeah. Men who hate women, usually that doesn't get resolved from sex, but yeah. Anyways, I'm going to go to the fun live now. I'm a little bit late, so I know people are waiting. If you want to join me there, do. If not, for my Discord peeps, I'll see you in the Discord. For my OnlyFans peeps, I will see you now. And everyone have a wonderful rest of your day. It was so great to meet you, Jazz. Can't wait to see you again. Thank you so much, Eva. I'm going to give you a follow after. I might not get to it till tomorrow, but I am excited to connect with you. Starwomb, I know you stream, and I think I'm going to figure out when someone can join your streams. If any of you stream, let me know. And I would love to do a joint stream with Starwomb, Eva, or anybody really, like the same way I did last week. I would love to do that. I know the guy or I don't know if it's a girl or a guy. Maybe he or she even said it in the chat and I just didn't see it. That has worked with Ashley on the MasterCard stuff. Would love that. I just want to learn and grow our community. Okay. Oh, Eva doesn't make content. She's super sweet and base. Okay, cool. I know you make content and you stream, so I'm going to check that out. All right, bye.